The rain-slicked promenade of Port Meridian never slept, and neither did its problems. Marcus Hale learned that within an hour of docking his aging freighter, the station smelled of coolant leaks, spice vapor, and desperation layered so thick it felt alive. He moved through the crowd with the practiced indifference of a long-haul trader, eyes forward, wallet secured, conscience quietly switched off until he saw her. She sat hunched beside a malfunctioning recycler, skin dulled by grime and ash, 4 iridescent eyes half-lidded with exhaustion. Her species, Thurkel, if Marcus remembered right, were known for their luminous patterns and ceremonial cleanliness. This woman looked like she'd been scraped across half the sector. A flickering sign above her read "Public Sanitation," temporarily offline. She met his gaze, not begging, just waiting. Marcus sighed. Figures, he muttered, then stopped walking. The sanitation clerk barely looked up when Marcus slid the credits across the counter. 1 full-cycle cleansing chamber, he said, nodding toward the woman. Medical-grade filters. The clerk grunted. Non-refundable. Didn't ask for one. When Marcus returned, the Thurkel woman studied him with open confusion. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft and roughened. Why? He shrugged. You looked like you needed it. That wasn't entirely true. Plenty of beings on Port Meridian needed help. He didn't help them. But something about her refusal to plead, maybe had caught him off guard. She inclined her head in a formal Thurkel gesture. I am Salith of the Kesh line. Your action will not be forgotten. Marcus, he replied. No need to carve it into stone. She followed the attendant toward the chamber, pausing once to glance back at him. Her eyes glimmered faintly, not with gratitude, but with something more calculating. Marcus missed it entirely. Salith stood beneath the cleansing mist as layers of grime dissolved into the drain. The chamber hummed, recalibrating to her biochemistry. As the filth washed away, so did the station's noise, leaving only her thoughts. The Kesh line was nearly extinct. Her people had scattered after the genetic plagues, their once proud bloodlines thinning to statistical irrelevance. Thurkel survival depended on careful selection, compatibility not merely physical, but psychological. Strength of will. Empathy without weakness. Resilience proven through action. Salith had observed Marcus before he noticed her. Watched him refuse a bribe without drama. Seen him intervene in a dispute without violence. And then, most importantly, he had paid for her cleansing without expectation. That act alone narrowed the galaxy. The water ceased. Salith's patterns began to glow again, faint but alive. The choice was made. Marcus didn't expect to see her again. That expectation lasted exactly 12 hours. She waited by his ship when he returned from filing cargo permits, now clean, radiant patterns flowing like starlight across her skin. Station lights reflected off her eyes, making them look impossibly deep. You look better, Marcus said, awkwardly. Optimal, she corrected. I thank you. No problem. Take care of yourself. She did not move. I require passage. He raised an eyebrow. To where? Wherever you go. Marcus frowned. I'm not a taxi. I know, she said calmly. That is why I chose you. The word hung between them. Chose. He opened his mouth to refuse, then hesitated. Port Meridian was not kind to lone Thurkel. And his ship had space. Too much space, lately. One jump, he said at last. We see how it goes. Salith inclined her head again, satisfaction flickering across her patterns. Traveling with Salith was unsettling. She asked questions, precise, thoughtful ones. About Marcus's childhood on a high-gravity mining world. About his decisions in past crises. About how he handled loss. She observed his reactions more than his answers, cataloguing them with quiet intensity. You sound like a psychologist, he joked once. I am a genealogical assessor, she replied. That gave him pause. That sounds personal. It is, she agreed. During a pirate encounter near the dorsal belt, Marcus maneuvered the freighter through debris with calm efficiency, refusing to abandon a disabled escort vessel. Salith watched from the co-pilot's seat, patterns flaring bright. You risked yourself, she said afterward. Didn't feel right not to. She nodded, as if confirming a hypothesis. Marcus began to feel like he was being weighed and found, inexplicably, that he didn't mind. The truth came out 3 weeks later, during a quiet drift between systems. My species is failing, Salith said without preamble. We require genetic divergence to survive. Marcus nearly choked on his drink. And you're telling me this because I have chosen you for my bloodline. Silence swallowed the cockpit. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Marcus said carefully. I didn't. There would be no coercion, she said immediately. Choice is sacred. But understand this. Thurkel do not choose lightly. You demonstrated compassion without weakness. Strength without cruelty. That is rare. Marcus stared at the stars. I paid for a shower. You restored my dignity, she corrected. At cost to yourself. That matters. He laughed once, incredulous. You're serious. I am. Marcus took a long time to answer. He thought of the empty years hauling cargo, of connections made and lost at every port. He thought of how easily he'd almost walked past her, and of how the universe kept surprising him, no matter how old he got. I won't be studied like a specimen, he said finally. You would not be, Salith replied. You would be honored. That's a big step. Yes. Another pause. Then, I'm not saying no, Marcus said. But I'm not saying yes either. Salith's patterns softened. That is acceptable. Time is a resource. They traveled on, something unspoken growing between them, not romance, not yet, but trust. Choice, unfolding at its own pace. Months later, when Salith sent a transmission to the remnants of the Kesh line, she spoke of hope. Of a human who reminded her that survival was not just about preserving the past, but choosing a future worth living. Marcus never did think much about bloodlines. But sometimes, when he watched her stand beneath the stars, clean, radiant, unbroken, he realized that one small act, done without expectation, had changed the course of more than one life. And that, he decided, was very human indeed.